As the latest Star Wars series to debut on Disney+, Andor has been a long wait for many who loved Rogue One. So far, it's been called the best Star Wars show since The Mandalorian, and yet it's also been defined as the least popular. Find out what the critics have been saying about this series and more in today's video, so make sure you keep watching if you don't want to miss out on the latest. Fans and viewers agree that Andor is the best Star Wars program since The Mandalorian, yet it is also the least popular among other titles. The Star Wars series on Disney+, Andor, has received the best reviews since The Mandalorian, with a critic score of 95% after its first 7 of 12 episodes. For its first 2 seasons, The Mandalorian averaged a 93% rating, Obi-Wan Kenobi an 82%, and the Book of Boba Fett a mediocre 66%. In contrast to those other series, though, its popularity doesn't fully match its caliber. According to fresh Nielsen streaming data released on Thursday, the 3-episode Andor premiere was seen for 624 million minutes in the US between its launch on Wednesday, September 21st and Sunday, September 18th. To put that into perspective, the show didn't even make it into Nielsen's list of the top 10 streaming programs overall, which includes both original and licensed series as well as movies. Since there is still a substantial audience, Andor isn't necessarily a failure. However, according to earlier Nielsen data, it is nothing compared to the live-action Star Wars series that came before it. The first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which launched on a Friday, had 1.026 billion minutes of viewing in their first 3 days. In its first 5 days, the Book of Boba Fett opening episode received 389 million minutes of viewing time, which is more than half the time that Andor's 3 episodes received. In the first weekend following the premiere of its second season, The Mandalorian attracted 1.032 billion viewing minutes. Perhaps there is Star Wars fatigue following Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, both of which we found to be very disappointing. The first has a user rating of 64%, and the second has a rating of 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, which suggests they didn't quite land with others as well. But those who are viewing Andor appear to enjoy it, and the audience score is 83%. Perhaps it's also just that Cassian Andor, the rebel protagonist from the standalone Rogue One film, isn't as well-known a Star Wars figure as Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi are, even though Rogue One was a success, earning over $1 billion globally. Other data suggests the program isn't getting momentum with as large an audience as the other Star Wars series, and there isn't a Baby Yoda in Andor. According to Insider, the show is not performing as well as the others in terms of viewer demand, according to Parrot Analytics, which gauges it using internet activity and other variables. Andor reached a global average demand peak of 67.2 in its first 4 weeks of release, which means that it was 62.7 times more popular than the global average series. It wasn't horrible, but here's how it stacked up against the other 3 Star Wars shows during their heyday. The Mandalorian Season 1, 137.76. The Mandalorian Season 2, 89.2. Obi-Wan Kenobi, 87.71. And The Book of Boba Fett, 72.25. However, Andor still has time to pick up more steam with viewers. The start of filming for the second season has already been announced. Andor might be Disney Plus's best chance at an award show. It's only planned to last for 2 seasons, with the second season setting up the events of Rogue One. The third season of The Mandalorian premieres in February, and given that the prior 2 seasons were nominated for Outstanding Drama Series, it may be a contender at the Emmys the following year. However, Andor by Oscar-nominated director Tony Gilroy comes even closer to the kind of prestige TV that viewers could favor. Moving on, let's talk about what the critics have to say about Andor's Episode 7. Just a heads up though, because major spoilers abound from here on out. But if you're pretty cool with that, then make sure you keep watching for more. According to Fantha critic Becca Benjamin, Andor is now heating up. Benjamin claims that Andor has passed the midpoint of Season 1, and things are heating up. The title of Episode 7, Announcement, says it all. The Empire is unaware of how prepared the Alliance is as the rebellion approaches. She went on to say that the character development and performances of numerous characters, including Dedra, Cyril, Bell, Marva, Andor, Colonel Yularen, Luthen, and Mon Mothma, are abundant in announcement. She said that Princess Leia's warning to Tarkin, "The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers," seemed to inspire the idea of announcement from Star Wars A New Hope. Benjamin also noted that we witnessed the Empire doing just that throughout the entire show. Taxes are being increased, the PORD is being used more frequently, search and seizure powers are being increased, previous prison terms are being reviewed, and the list goes on. Cassian doesn't understand how much the Empire has escalated its game at this point, and can only express how much he worries about his mother, but Marva does her best to warn Andor by using Galen Erso's line to a young Jin from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, "Say you understand." Sadly, Cassian doesn't understand how much the Empire has escalated its game at this point. "It's just love," says Marva, "and there's nothing you can do to change it." Then, we also have another Fantha critic, Jen Supchak-Chai Bankard, who remarked that Andor's latest episode checks in with nearly every character we've met so far. According to Bankard. This episode explores what happens after the Aldhani theft and what each character might do next. Cassian returns to Ferrix to persuade his mother Marva to use the money from the theft to start a new life. Dedra obtains the information she requires and impresses Partagaz, who reassigns Ferrix to her. Cyril Karn quarrels with his mother and attends an interview at the Bureau of Standards thanks to his enigmatic Uncle Harlow, and the happenings of Aldhani causing a fight between Mon Mothma and Luthen. The happenings of Aldhani cause a fight between Mon Mothma and Luthen, and then Mon Mothma enlists the aid of a childhood friend under the guise of a cocktail party on Coruscant. Vel meets with Clea, who instructs her to make final arrangements, aka kill Cassian. Everybody is part of a larger system, and every action has a ripple effect that prevents anyone from ever being in a vacuum. This explains in part why Cassian's plan to steal his credits and go was never going to materialize. He cannot escape Imperial tyranny, not even as a tourist on a rogue beach party world. Moving on to another critic, Ross Hollobon said that announcement exhibits how necessarily cutthroat the fledgling rebellion is. According to critic Hollobon, after completing the assignment on Aldhani, Luthen viewed Cassian as a loose end, which prompted Clea to instruct Vel to track him and kill him. Due to Cassian's perception of himself as only a mercenary, the Rebel Network can do without him. This is the character that Cassian develops into before Rogue One, and the brutal reality of an underground movement made up of those same spies, saboteurs, and assassins, along with politicians. He further said that the ISB is a tool used by individuals in positions of authority. Emperor Palpatine has promised Admiral Wolf Yularen that the ISB will henceforth take the lead in pursuing anyone perceived to be a threat to the Empire, according to Yularen, who appears in and has an impact on Star Wars throughout numerous stories and mediums. This means that Dedra is one step closer to having nothing stand in her way while she investigates the growing rebel activities, especially now that Major Partagaz has granted her sovereignty over the region, which includes Ferrix. Finally, Fantha critic Eric Unkenhout pointed out that Andor is beginning to feel like a roller coaster ride. He explained that Tony Gilroy had said that there would be a fresh story arc every 3 episodes before Andor premiered. The third of 4 arcs began with episode 7 of the series, Announcement. Each story arc starts slowly, and by the 3rd episode, the suspense has reached its apex, so it's easy to see where it begins. The tempo slowed down again in this episode. As a result, Andor is starting to resemble a roller coaster trip, where getting to the heights is worth the dips. At the conclusion of the episode, a K2 security droid holds Cassian imprisoned after he is arrested for breathing. This might be K2SO version 1. The announcement was a bit of a restart for Andor, but is sure to shift gears next week as it draws closer to Rogue One and Saw Gerrera. There is speculation that B2EMO will be rebuilt as K2SO, but in the words of George Harrison, it's only a rumor. And on that note, we're wrapping up today's episode. Do you agree with what the critics have to say about Andor? Let us know in the comment section below. Before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel with the notification bell on for more videos like these. See you next time, and thanks for watching.